What's the next right thing to do? Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes it's easy to skip past the right thing to do. Well, when you're operating a business, you want to take care of people who have disabilities or who aren't able to access your business, who aren't able to access your website and marketing. Well, shouldn't they be? And isn't the right thing to do to make it accessible for them too? Take the extra step. That's what this show's all about. Elizabeth Orley is my guest next on Purpose Under Pressure. Well, the heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's a podcast about people, business folks, people trying to get things done on purpose. We wake up in the morning, we swing our feet out of bed, we put them on the floor and get going. And somewhere along the line, that wind comes up, the cold comes up, something happens to try to knock us off pace. And that's just what this show is all about. What are we going to do when the pressures try to knock us down? Can we stand? I hope so, and that's what this show is all about. So don't forget to like us if you're back. Give us a nod. Let other people know that this show is worth following or watching or even just checking out. There's 1,000,001 podcasts out there. Why should anyone listen to this one? Well, if you tell someone it's good, maybe we'll get a shot. We're trying to change the world. That's how it's going to happen. So thank you very much for your support. Purpose Under Pressure is brought to you and has been brought to you almost, I think like 97% of these episodes by Sandler, by the Ruby Group, serving sales professionals nationwide from their Akron, Columbus, Ohio locations. They're also in Jacksonville, Florida. Did you know they're in Capital Region, upstate New York? They are all along the coast, and I think up and down the country. They're making sellers better. They're making companies better. They're generating more revenue on purpose the right way. It's sales training. It's business growth. If you've got people that are out there representing you and they're trying to generate revenue and make business work for them and make business work for you, and it's got to be done right. It can't be done with tricks. It can't be done with triggers. It can't be done with gimmicks. It's got to be done on purpose, the way you started your business, right? And if that's the way you're trying to do it, then I suggest you reach out to Mike and Ken and Jordan and Jason and everybody at Ruby Group and see if they can help you out. Check them out online at therubygroup.sandler.com. I'm excited to introduce to you today Elizabeth Orley. She's the founder of Elizabeth Inc. LLC. It's a consulting firm dedicated to making the digital world accessible for everyone. And I will start off by saying, I'm not sure that's possible because it's barely accessible to me. And I think a lot of business owners feel sometimes the same way. It's just moving so fast and hard to keep on track. And so that adds a lot of pressure when a business owner is trying to get things done. So let's talk about it. Elizabeth Orley, welcome to Purpose Under Pressure.
Hey, Bryan, thank you for having me. And shout out to the Ruby Group because honestly, they are fundamental for why my business has been successful for the last 15 years. So wholeheartedly support Mike and Ken and Jordan and the entire crew at the Ruby Group. So that's a great organization. If you're a business owner, yeah, they're phenomenal. So
if I put you on the spot, since I didn't know that about you, if you had one thing to tell somebody that Sandler by the Ruby Group helped you with very quickly, I don't want to take your time, but what would that be?
connecting with people in a genuine way.
Bingo.
And understanding what their problems are.
Helping people understand their own issues so that you can actually help them, which is what we're all trying to do in the
Correct.
first place. Tremendous. Thank you very much for that little extra plug. Checks in the mail, Elizabeth. I appreciate that.
I'll call Mike after the show.
There you go. Let Mike know. Tell him Bryan said hello. Hey, let's talk about this digital accessibility because it's hard enough as it is. It's hard enough to keep your website up to date. It's hard to keep social media. AI is driving everybody either crazy or making them think they've got it all figured out. I think either of those is opposite of the truth. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. First, Elizabeth, tell me about you. Tell me about your company. What drives you? What gets you up in the morning? And why are you walking this planet?
I'm walking this planet because I want to make it better for other people. And digital accessibility really walks that line for me. Not only do I have a mom that has problems, she has macular degeneration and Alzheimer's. So between those two things, the outside world, including the digital world, is getting a lot smaller for her. And I'm realizing just how much of our digital world is not accessible to older adults or those with disabilities. So Bryan, for me, I'm on a mission to make every small business accept that they need to have accessibility as part of their digital strategy and help them achieve that on a multitude of levels, regardless of what tools that they're using. So,
And you talked a little bit at the very beginning about helping business owners understand their issue, like in a genuine way. And is that one of the biggest problems you have as a business owner? Because I would think, as in my own business, I just sent out the invoices today, and I've got to do the paperwork and pay the taxes and see the clients and do the work. The last thing I want to worry about is accessibility. It feels like that's on fourth base. I'm not quite there yet. So, is that a struggle for you to get business owners to really even understand that this thing is out there?
yes, digital accessibility is very hard to explain to people that don't understand it. So, one of the biggest challenges that people have is they have a website and they have somebody doing social media, and all of those things are in your digital brand and in your digital space. So, what ends up happening is you build a website and you forget about it and you think that you're done. But let's say that you built that website and it's not even getting found by Google. This is how I got into accessibility in the first place. I had this aha moment about 5 years ago, Bryan, where I realized the very same tools that are looking at your website for SEO are also using the very same measurements for accessibility, right?
Mhm.
So, if your website is not designed to be accessible, you are missing out on organic search traffic. And that is true for the AI too. You know how you have the AI overviews for things? If your website's not accessible, you're missing those opportunities. So, not only is it important for those with disabilities, but it's important to be found by the search engines. And we all know as business owners today, just having the search engines find you is a challenge enough. So when you double down and you make your website accessible, you're opening up your business to the most of those opportunities online.
That makes a lot of sense because everybody's trying to be found and they're trying to have a little bit of an extra edge. Does it make that much of a difference? Feels to me like if I'm part of the 1%, 10%, you'll tell me what percent people are not accessible. If I'm part of that's taking advantage of this, that gives me a big leg up when it comes to trying to get found. Am I right or wrong that most businesses are concerned with accessibility or not concerned with accessibility and there's an opportunity there?
They have no idea,
They have
Bryan.
no idea. So if you're just doing it, you're killing it.
Do you remember when mobile websites were a thing and Google told everybody that they had to create mobile websites?
I do. What was that called? Mobile Google
Responsive.
Arma Google Geddon or something like that. Is that that was quite a few years. If you didn't do responsive, they were just almost going to shut you down.
Yeah, they just weren't going to show you in the search results,
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
Okay, so think of accessibility as that next bell curve for people with the digital websites. We
Okay.
are on the opening part of that bell curve, but what's pushing the bell curve at a very rapid pace is that there are new laws that go into effect in different states in the United States. So, states like California and New York and Colorado are now they're putting a lot more emphasis on accessibility.
Mhm.
If you do work for the government, if you take money from the government as a nonprofit, let's say that you sell a widget in the state of California or Colorado or New York, you're basically opening up yourself to their regulations. So, Ohio, for instance, doesn't necessarily have the same regulatory body that California does. But if you're a small business owner in Ohio and you're selling your widget in California, you're going to run into a vulnerability that you don't even know that you have in most cases.
Okay.
So, accessibility isn't optional. It's a requirement for doing business in the United States in 2026. So as we move forward, Bryan, it's going to become more and more important, and that bell curve is going to accelerate rapidly because somebody that's trained in accessibility can tell you if your site is compliant or not within like 2 minutes of looking at it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I so so as a business owner, I'm learning here now too. So I've heard three reasons now so far that I need to pay attention to this. One is for search engine results, one is for legal compliance, but there's also the user on the other side. So there's three. What are there other big reasons that I need to be paying attention to this? And I want to dive into them individually. But those three, are there other reasons that I should be doing this?
I mean, if you get the top three there, you're living your dream.
That's
So
it. So
it
which is
needs to
more
be on your
important?
radar.
Which is more important?
I
You
think
can't-
all three are important. I
Yeah.
want I want my customers to be able to interact with my website to the best of their ability, right? I
Mhm.
want to be found in the search engines when they're looking when they're looking for me, like to buy my services, right? And most importantly, I don't want a $25,000 lawsuit because that's the average. Just to pay the lawyer to go counter the claim in whatever state that they're filing it in, right? Because you're open to the laws of every single state in the United States. So $25,000, and that doesn't count for the remediation of your website to fix it so it doesn't happen again. And Bryan, that's a lot of money for a small business. So that's why I'm on this mission. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm writing articles. I'm talking to as many business owners as I can. I'm speaking at different chambers. If you're working with older populations, veterans, people with disabilities, this needs to be on your radar. And you don't want to be the low hanging fruit for the lawsuits.
And that let's talk real quickly about the lawsuits. That could just become a almost a frivolous, expensive thing where everyone's just filing a lot of lawsuits, winning, right? Even and deservedly so if you're out of compliance. But still, I might get 7 letters tomorrow saying, "Hey, you're sued, you're sued, you're sued, you're sued," and so might another million. I mean, is that where this could head?
That's the new
Yeah.
thing. It's the ambulance, it's the new ambulance chasing lawyer that's going after these things. So what they're doing is they're having a client with a disability order something off a website, and then they're going after that website for not being accessible.
Okay. So that almost takes the purpose out of it. So I want to talk a little bit about disability, but what you just brought up makes it not about doing the right thing for people. It makes it about protecting your business, which is important too. Do they combine in some way? Is there a mixture there?
Well, I think it's really sad that it takes lawsuits for people to want to do the right thing, right?
Good point.
So for me, it's like, okay, yes, this is your incentive to budget for this for 2026 and beyond, right? But do the right thing because it's the right thing. 1 in 4 people in America have some sort of disability. 1 in 4. Why would you ever want to alienate that audience? It makes it really simple.
Yeah, and that's a business decision. I think also of ADA compliance. I think of wheelchair access. I think of ways that we make our businesses open to everyone, and we would never think about. We wouldn't say, no, 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 no. If you're in a wheelchair, you don't get to shop here. We would. I mean, we shouldn't say that. If we have the ability to change the door access and think if we have the ability to change it, we should, and we do. I think. I
Yeah,
think
and it's
as
the
a
law.
whole, and
It's the
it's the
law.
law, and
So
and so why should this be any different, right?
Looking at the typical salesperson, everything they do day in and day out, if we simplify all of that and really boil it down, they have 2 superpowers. First superpower that salespeople have is how they behave. Second superpower they have is what they say. As a seller, we only have 2 problems. We either said something or did something that we should not have said or done, or we didn't say something or do something that we should have said or done.
And think if we have the ability to change it, we should, and we do. I think. I
yeah,
think
and it's
as
the
a
law.
whole, and
It's the
it's the
law.
law,
So
and so why should this be any different, right?
well, businesses understand the law when it comes to a physical space. Where they
Yeah,
don't understand it is where it transfers into the digital world.
it's
And yet the
changed,
law is still the same.
and many businesses say, "Well, this is where all my business is done, in the bricks and mortar. It's right here is the way it's always been done." And yet they've built the website and they've built the access to the digital world so that they can work in this new world, and they've missed that.
Right. Well, let's even talk just beyond the website. Let's look at social media as well. How many of us, as a small business owner, make graphics in Canva and then upload them to LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram? And maybe those graphics have words on them. Screen readers cannot read graphics on a image,
Right,
right?
right,
Unless you have an alt tag in there. So one of the things I want to do with you today, Bryan, is give heads up to some of the business owners of the things that they need to check.
good.
And I think that's important because identifying that you have a problem is your first step in solving it.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are the things that they need to look at? And at the same time, can you also explain why it matters to the viewer or the person on the online platform? So one, why they need to do it in the first place, but also what's being missed if that's not done. Like you just said with the alt tag, if I can't see the image, I don't know
Mhm.
what the image is about. Can you approach it from that?
Yeah, let's say that you're having an event at your store, ribbon cutting, a sale, and all of the information about that sale is in the image. The dates, the times, the location, the discount code, whatever that is, and you don't include that same information in the caption or in the post itself. All you're doing is creating, all they see is a blank space. So close your eyes. If the information isn't in text somewhere, a screen reader cannot read it. So,
Okay. And is it just is some of that information the most important event information, or can it be as simple as, hey, it's this weekend, can't wait to see you, like the generic stuff? Does that matter too, or does it have to be the date and the location? Which am I most liable for?
well, I think liability wise on social media, you're a little bit less likely to get sued for your social media posts. But again, social media, your organic reach is so small. If you don't include the most accessible information and your audience doesn't see it, then what's the point of even doing it?
Yeah.
So for me, it's
Sure.
the twofold. Like you want to be seen when people are looking for you, but you want to also be found for all of your audience. And understanding what accessibility looks like is really important. Another thing that I see a lot of is people putting all the text in headers on their website. And instead of putting the text overlaying an image, they will put the text directly on the image. And then they have these rolling headers that have all this text in them, and people with the screen reader have no idea what's even on the website.
Yeah.
So um, let's transition from social media really quick in Canva, because Canva is one of my come on, people. I want to help you. Let me help you. I feel like Jerry Maguire. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. Right.
That's right.
But for me, Bryan, the basics for website accessibility starts with your website. If you have proper header tags. So everybody in grade school learns to create bullet point outlines, right? You remember doing that exercise,
absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of your website as a bullet point outline. You can only have one title, and then all of the other headers in your website need to follow the hierarchy of headers. So an H2 is the subcategory, and then H3s and H4s are the indented items, right? So you can't skip header levels. You can't go from an H2 to an H4 on your website. It has to go H2, H3, H4, and then go back to H2, right?
Okay.
And a header tag, like their H1, is always the title. So you can only have one title per page. Now let's think about how a screen reader would look at that.
Yes.
So then they can now scan those headers and understand the most important points on your website. And guess what? That's the exact same thing that Google does to understand how to use your website in search. It scans those headers. And by putting them in the correct order, you're telling Google what's the most important thing on your website. So if you think about it logically, both things are incredibly important, making the site more accessible, but also searchable, right?
It makes a lot of sense. So I'm sitting here thinking about it as I build websites or look at websites and try to figure things out. I want Google to find them, and Google is a bot that can't see. It's many times it's just scrolling through your site, picking up the text. It needs to be built so that Google can do a good job of learning the information. If I see my customer who has a disability with seeing, is it mostly visual? And I know we have audio as well, but if I build it for Google, it ought to be built well for that customer that can't see or can't use it right visually. That's the blocks that I'm putting in order, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the headers are the first step of making your website accessible, and the second is the alt tags. So alternative text. Alternative text is what I was talking about with the Canva images and images on your website. You want to have descriptive text that talks about what is in the image. So if it has any words, if it has let's say there's a snowman and a dog is pulling off the arm of the snowman because it's a stick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain that visual to users that are using a screen reader so that they understand why that image is on your website. It's also an opportunity to add the keywords that you need, but they have to not just be stuffed into your alt text.
Yes.
It has to be in context. but it's just more places that are showing Google what's important about your website.
And what about audio? I brought up audio a little bit ago. Is that an issue as well?
Absolutely.
How does that
So,
get fixed?
well, thankfully, tools like YouTube and Instagram allow you to have captions on all of your videos and stuff. The problem I'm finding is how many of those do you watch and stuff's spelled wrong and names are spelled wrong. And so there's better ways to do that. You can create a script and edit all of the captions yourself to make sure that everything is correct. And most video software today allows you to do that. So my suggestion isn't to rely on the auto captions. You really want to make sure that they're accurate for all of your users. And the other thing that's important that people don't think about if you can't hear something is if there's a doorbell. You want the ding ding, like doorbell rings, or a door slam, or the audibles that are not text to give a fuller experience of your dialogue.
Yeah. And that's just good marketing too. If that's just good branding, if nothing else. You don't want misspelled words or the subtitle saying something that it wasn't. And I also know that if I'm watching a social media video at my office, the sound is down. And
Yeah.
if the words are coming across, I have a much better chance of engaging with it. And so there's a lot of business friendly ways to do audio right as well. This all sounds really hard. So you're talking about alternate alt texts and headers and subtitles. As a business owner, I'm just trying to get my post up or a website up and move on to something else. Is this something I can take care of while I'm doing it? Is this something I need a professional for? How do I figure this out?
Oh, Brian.
Yeah.
I want to
The
comment on
$1 million
one thing.
question, right?
Yeah, I want to comment on one thing that you said
Yeah.
that was really smart. You said, as a business owner, can I fix it while I'm doing it? Well, you have to know what you have to fix, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know, then don't. Here's what people are doing, which I think is really interesting. There are tools that you can add to like a WordPress website or other web. Have you seen the little icon? It's that little guy on the screen in a circle. It's a little man that you can change like the font size or
Sure.
dark modes. Those are called accessibility overlays. And the problem with those is, yes, you can change the font size and maybe the contrast that helps with some of accessibility issues, but it actually messes up screen readers. And it does not fix the things that we already talked about as far as creating proper alt tags and creating the correct hierarchy for the scanners. So those are actually probably hurting your website rather than fixing the problem. And one of the biggest misconceptions is if people don't know, they think, oh, I'm totally covered. I'm going to put this little icon guy on the screen and install this plugin and I'm good to go. And that's really not the truth. So, website lawsuits are up 37% this year as of June 2025. So they're on pace to have up to 5,000 businesses being sued this year just for accessibility issues.
Okay.
It's
So it's
crazy.
something that we've got to take care of. I'm
Yeah.
interested as we get a little closer here to the end of our conversation. I'm interested a little bit in AI and
Yeah.
what you can tell me. Is that making your job easier, harder, as far as helping business owners become accessible? Is it making their job easier or harder? How does that all fit into what we're trying to accomplish here?
Okay, so one of the big save money things that a lot of small businesses are doing right now is hiring an AI agent to do their social media and create content for their social media. And the problem is a lot of these tools use emojis and they don't add alt text natively onto their posts.
Hmm.
So they're creating a bunch of content, but none of it is necessarily screen reader friendly. I don't think it's helping them. Plus,
Right.
everybody kind of hates it. Like the
Yeah, oh,
second you
big
start
time.
seeing like 5 emojis in a post, you're like, oh, geez, did they even read what they posted? Do they even know what it says?
I wonder.
So I don't know if that's helpful or hurtful for people right now, but AI is definitely getting better. So will it help you with accessibility in the future? Probably, but we're not there yet. So you cannot simply rely on any tool set to be compliant. You really have to know it. And one of the reasons that I created a course for people is to give them an option to train their humans. So you have a great team, right? And a lot of times with what I do, I can go in and do an audit and kind of tell you what you need to change, right? But not every business has the money to pay a consultant full time to just audit all of their junk all day long. So it's important to me to give small businesses an opportunity to really hone in on their ability to learn it. Of course, what you need to do is hire a team that you trust and then teach them the skills to do accessibility the right way, right? And then
Yes.
you have someone like me come in and audit it and make suggestions and help them through the process, continued education, because nobody learns this in school, Bryan.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's like anything else that's changing so fast. Everyone else seems to learn it, and then people are trying to teach us. I'm interested in that course. Tell me a little bit more about what I'll learn in that course, how I can take advantage of that course. It seems interesting, or I mean, important to me.
Right. So every business needs to have somebody on their team that understands accessibility. So we take you through all of the steps to make things compliant with ADA. And what we do with that is we go through the headers, the alt tags, we go through color contrast, how we build out our website, what an ARIA tag is, and all of this knowledge is power for your team. Then we go through an exercise to do a brand kit for your business. And that brand kit is then accessible and you can distribute it to anybody that does any kind of collateral for your brand online. So
Okay.
it's an important exercise to do because I feel like people have a buy-in that way. Not only did they create it, but they understand why it was created. And that is really, really an important part of business development for anybody that wants to be more accessible. So the course is vital, in
Yeah.
conjunction with what I do as a consultant to go in and help.
And so, how do they get access to that course? And is it for all business sizes? Everything we've been talking about is not just for Fortune 500 that has a lot to lose, right? I mean, it's for anybody that's trying to do the right thing.
You're going to get sued as a solopreneur the same way that you
Same
would
amount.
if you had a 500 person company.
Mm,
So I think every single human should take an accessibility course, whether it's mine or someone else's. The nice thing about working with someone like me is that I literally focus on small businesses, Bryan, and I am so invested in helping people grow. So I think I don't think it's optional, but not everybody has the time, but they also don't have the money. So you've got to balance that as a business owner. What's the most important thing for you to sell? What you do best. And a
yeah,
lot of times it's not working on the marketing or the social media or the accessibility piece, which is vital today.
right. And so, how do they find you if they want to access this course or learn more about what you do in your consultancy?
Sure. My website is elizabethinc.net and ink with a K. So it's an anagram, elizabethinc.net.
I like that. Just
Yeah.
takes a little bit of thought. You have to put that in your alt code though, so people can understand that in the other side.
Oh,
I know.
every marketing person puts a lot of thought into everything nobody ever pays
Nobody
attention to,
gets it
right?
on the other side. Unfortunately, that's too often the truth. I think the answer to this last question is going to be both. But I want you to dig a little deeper and see if there's something more that you can help us with because I'm interested. This is purpose under pressure. Is internet and digital accessibility more on purpose for a business trying to do the right thing? Or is it under pressure, not just for their own business, but also a little bit on purpose to help that customer who's already out there with disabilities, who's already dealing with stuff the way it's not meant to be, the way the world's not built for them? Where's the purpose and where's the pressure, and how do they rank together?
Bryan, I like to default to thinking that humanity is still good
I
and
love
we
that.
always want to do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So that is how I approach accessibility. I don't want to sit on the other side of, hey, I'm getting sued. How do we fix this? That is the worst case scenario for a phone call for me. I would rather have somebody come to me and say, you know what? I heard the podcast. I know I'm probably not accessible. What do I do next? And we work through it together. And everybody's different.
That's Elizabeth Orley. She's the founder of Elizabeth Inc. LLC. Elizabeth Think. Love that. Consulting firm dedicated to making the digital world accessible for everyone. And I hope you found some good information out there so that you can operate your business on purpose under this pressure. This is all brought to you by Sandler, by the Ruby Group. Sellers are under pressure to perform. Sandler helps you to succeed on purpose, and I hope that you'll reach out to them as well. And as Elizabeth said at the beginning of this show, it'll be worth your while, and you'll be doing things on purpose as well that way. You'll also find all of these episodes. Purpose Under Pressure has been on the air now for 9 seasons. That's over 100 episodes, and you'll find them at bryanmediastrategies.com/podcast, wherever else you stream your favorite shows. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.